Hi, Beth. It's so
Yeah.
great to have you here. I
Yes.
hope you're enjoying the Colorado Technology Association.
Such great energy here. It's great to see all
Good.
the women here learning how to be better and network with one another.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful, beautiful event. So you've talked a lot about digital transformation and change in companies, and how does that impact companies in your book and here today? And if you just had something that you would sort of, when you first showed up at a company that was embarking on a change, what are your big tips? What is the big thing that you would want them to kind of right
Yeah.
away?
Well, I think everyone's looking at digital change right now, and my message there is you're going to find it's less the digital tools and more the culture change. So the tools enable you. So with that mindset, it's a couple of things. You cannot force change, and I think in most change management, we believe it's a simple path and it's not messy. It's not. It's not simple, and it's absolutely messy. But it's about, do you have a clear vision? Maybe it's not exactly clear, but you have a sense of why the change is happening.
Right.
Are you articulating that time and time again? And then are you giving people the opportunity to experience it, to sort of figure out how their work's going to change because of that, what's happening? So you have to make the change very personal. And those are, I think, hard things to work through. But that would be my kind of formula of navigating change.
And so you talk about culture change, and that has a lot to do with the individual. And there's a saying, be the change you want to be in, or be the change you want to see in the world.
I believe that.
Yeah. So I think, how do you encourage that, or how would you encourage someone who's thinking about being a change maker in their company to look at their own life? And you talked about courage. You've talked about a lot of different things that someone might focus on. Where would you kind of start with an individual who wants to be that change?
Well, I think if you wake up in every day and you see a better way, you believe you have to fight for it. I mean, it's just that simple. And so I think it starts with just a belief in better. And do you see a better way? Well, then how passionately do you feel about it? Then I think you want to start to make change. But it's not that simple. Then you have to start to be able to tell the story well. You have to work with others. So there's a collaboration. You have to work your way through conflict. All those things have to come about. But it really starts with, hey, I see this. I am going to have the courage to back this idea. Even when people tell me, not yet, not now, no, I still believe in this kind of new future. So that's what it takes. And it's really a courage that kind of comes in that belief.
That's cool. So Fortune 500 list just came out, top companies, and there were 33 female CEOs, which is a record, apparently. And I'm wondering if you think that's a win or a call to action.
Well, I think it's maybe a small win in that it's gotten better, but I think it's a call to action in that really out of 500 companies, we only have 33 women leading them. It should be a lot more.
Yeah.
I think what's happened in Congress has been a great sign of people saying, you know what, we're going to put more women in leadership roles. You just have to do it. We just, obviously companies can't, let's just my microphone up a little bit.
We're going to go ahead and cut the stream.
Two, one.
All right, we're back after our little technical difficulties because, of course, right? It's technology.
It always happens, yeah.
But as you've said a lot, fail and you learn and you
Yep.
move on, and that's where the good stuff comes. So no, seriously though, I think I want to go back to kind of we're talking about women in power positions and the fact that there's 33 women CEOs in the Fortune 500 this year. You have been named in your career top 100 Forbes most powerful women. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. And I wonder if you, as you reflect back, like, how do you think about that as a title that you have and how you got there, you know?
Yeah, well, I think, I think 33 women, as we were saying, is progress, but it's not enough. And so I was the first female vice chair at GE. I was proud of that. It meant a lot to the women in the company and the people who are different in the company. But at that 2015, should I have been the first woman? No. I mean, I saw a lot of great women come into leadership position in the course of my career. But I think at the heart of it is, are we doing enough to seek out and include difference in our organizations? If you want to innovate, if you want to represent the people you serve, you better have difference on your teams. And by difference, I don't just mean gender and race, but that's a good place to start. I also mean difference of thought and difference of experience. And it creates tension. And so, what at the end of the day is we hire people like ourselves and we promote people like us. And so we need more difference. And I think lists are helpful. They call attention to it. But I think maybe the day when we don't need lists will be a day to celebrate, because it means we've got more people than we need to call out.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I'm wondering, we're talking a little bit about mentorship, and you've mentioned some mentors today. I'm curious if there's a particular mentor that you reflect on as being, kind of the most important. I also want to dig into this idea of difference too, and whether mentors, you envision a way to kind of cross that bridge through mentorship, right? In mentoring people maybe that are different.
Yeah.
And that could be an interesting kind of formula.
Yeah, I think mentors are many places. I remember early in my career being a more reserved person and feeling I didn't have a mentor and that was going to hold me back. And I started to realize mentors are everywhere. It's really just about asking people questions so you can learn from them, asking them for advice. It's not like they're signing up to be your recruiter or your therapist, So I think that you may find mentorship in places you least expect it. I made it sort of my practice to find mentors all over. I've had mentors who are men, mentors who are women, mentors who are much older. I've had mentors who are younger than me. I'm thinking of one woman I worked with. She's 10 years younger than me. I consider her a mentor because she's very outgoing. She gave me feedback on how to be a more outgoing person. And as a working mother, I learned a lot for how she was raising her family, how she took time off and came back. And I consider her a mentor. It ended up becoming a friend. But so I think I challenge people to think about mentorship in a different way. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who's just one person in your life who's helping you chart your career. There are multiple ways to get mentorship. And your job as a team leader, I think, is to provide that coaching and feedback for your team. My best bosses have been my mentors too. They've coached me. And I worry in business, we feel like I'm a team manager. I have to tell you what to do. Like, that's the wrong interpretation of manager. I think that's a dead model. Your job as a team leader is to coach, to mentor, to fight for the future, to fight for resources, to give people feedback, not to just be telling them a checklist of what to do. It's a mindset shift. So if you think of your job as a coach and a mentor and how you go about your job, you become that.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I also wonder if it applies to sort of how you think about women in tech.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think there are great programs to bring more women into tech. We need those. We need pipeline development. But until more women see more women in positions, it makes it harder. They show up. They're one of the few women on their team. It feels awkward. And they feel unable to maybe speak up or say things. So that needs to be called out. Teams need to be aware of these kind of issues, and so with that comes a feedback loop and being transparent. These are hard problems to solve, but they're not impossible problems to solve. And I think in tech we tend to say, oh, there aren't as many women choosing those careers. That's all changing. You look at the numbers, there are more and more programs being set up for more women to learn technology, more women signing up in universities or training programs. And the pipeline is getting richer, and so we have to work all the way through that. And it's not a matter of just hiring people and saying you're done. You have to coach them. You have to coach the people around them. You have to hold the leaders accountable for their success. It's not enough if you're a team leader to say, I can't hire enough women in tech. That starts to be your problem, not their problem.
Yeah. I noticed we're both connected to Katika Roy, who's really interesting thinker on this topic, pipeline equity. What about tech is exciting to you right now?
Well, I think tech is, pretty much everything about tech is exciting because the pace of change, it's also overwhelming. I mean, I have this line, the pace of change is never going to be slower than it is right now. And so I think that's exciting if you like progress, but also I think we can all recognize a bit scary. I like what's happening in agriculture and food technology. I think it's really interesting to see that. I think in large part we're sitting here in Colorado. Some of that's been spurred by what's happening in cannabis, but I think it goes beyond that. You're starting to see just the arrival of data into food, one of the most important things. I'm a big believer in clean tech. I think that continues. Cool. Battery storage, I think, is something you're going to see start to get to a parity and scale in the next, hopefully, 5 years. So I love the clean tech space. And I think what's happening in terms of what some of the things we were talking about earlier, the people development, the feedback loops, you're seeing a big change in terms of how HR teams are bringing AI in to help us just sort of pattern recognition and giving people feedback loops. I think those things are all very helpful in terms of meaningful tech. It doesn't give you the answer, but it creates the conversation in a company that then you can start to apply the work against. The tech's not going to tell you the answer, but it's going to kind of illuminate your imagination and you figure out the solution.
Yeah, makes sense. So is there anything, I know you've said that you don't know what's next for you, but if we think short term and kind of what you're excited about in the next, let's say, 6 months.
Well, I put myself this year on a path of a journey of discovery. So I'm always excited about what's new, what's next. I love coming to events like this to hear what's on people's minds. I'm just exploring. I am trying to figure out, I'm doing some writing, I'm doing some research, I'm looking at kind of creativity in the age of AI. What does that mean? I don't know where it's going to take me, and I actually like, for once in my life, not having a real plan. It's a very uncomfortable feeling for me.
Right.
So I'm intentionally trying to put myself in this path that's a bit uncomfortable for me.
That's awesome. Just cultivate that imagination.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know where it'll take you,
never
right?
I have to believe in that and have a bit of confidence that I can do this.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much
Thanks, Ann.
for
Nice
joining us
talking
today.
to you. Thanks a lot. Great being here, and good luck with the conference.
Thank you.
Thanks.